Alright guys, I don't know how well this will do, but welcome to a new series called What If I Was in Dragon Ball. This is going to be explaining my character, my OC, and he's going to be born in Dragon Ball. So with all that being said, let's get to it. Cut to King Cold. King Cold gave up his position to Frieza because he was scared of dealing with Beerus, but he realized something. Frieza might die one day. True, he is extremely powerful, and he doesn't think anyone can beat him in a fight besides Majin Buu and Beerus, but he's extremely cocky, and Frieza might lead to his own demise, so he decides to have another kid. So King Cold sheds his skin and places it into a pod to create a new son. He leaves for a couple weeks. As he comes back, he sees me developing in the pod. At first, he's excited, but then he gets up. As he put on the scouter and looked at me, he was disgusted. I only had a power level of 90,000. Frieza had a power level near 1 million when he was born. 90,000, that's nothing. Sure, to every other being in the universe, that would be an extraordinary power level to be born with. But for me, King Cold was just disgusted. And when I grew up, my power level would only be 300 or 400,000, he thought. This was no worthy person to be in his family. He grabbed me from the pod and pulled me out. One of the Frieza soldiers said, "What are you doing? Pulling out your son." King Cold said, "Oh, relax. There's no reason keeping something that has zero value." I looked at King Cold and I began to cry as I put out my little baby arm. But King Cold didn't care as he busted a hole through the roof and began to fly out in space. Then he blasted a hole in my chest and threw me out in space. He knew that I wouldn't starve to death, but he thought I would just bleed out. I floated out in space. Eventually, my wound would heal into a scar, but I floated there for weeks until I hit a planet. I was starving. I was so hungry. Even though I was a child, I knew what I had to do. I would slaughter animals, eating them like a barbarian, and I would eat the fruit. I landed on an uninhabited planet with only nature there. I don't know how long I was there before I grew up. However, one day something would happen that would change everything. Memorized everything, every plant, every animal, every mountain, every tree, everything on the planet. I could always fly out, but for some reason I wanted to stay there. There was something to this planet calling me to stay. I just didn't know what it was. I was grown up at this point. I stayed there for I don't know how many years. But one day something would happen. I would sense power levels that are crazy, power levels that are unlike anything before. Unlike any animal, unlike any creature, and then a giant tree would grow from the planet. You see, since I was living among nature, I learned how to sense power levels. I would use that to hunt. As I looked up, though, I saw this massive tree, a tree that went into space. The tree called me towards it. I began to walk towards the tree, but as I did, suddenly the Crusher Core would appear. Crusher Core began to surround me. As they began to talk, they said, "Well, I'm surprised someone like you exists on here. We thought this planet was uninhabited, except for some small animals. Luckily, the tree we tested out worked. So, I guess we're gonna have to kill you, unless you want to join our crew." I began to look at them, and they looked familiar, even though I've never seen an animal stand up on two legs besides myself. But then I remembered something. I remembered that King Cold threw me away. That's why I stayed on this planet, so I could survive. But deep down, I didn't want to survive anymore. All I wanted was revenge on my father, and they reminded me of him. Suddenly, my fist pierced through one of their chests as I ripped out their heart and ate it, and began to eat them. The others were shocked as they began to fight me. I never fought in my life. I only hunted animals. However, my power level is so much more above theirs. They use special martial artist techniques and ki blasts and many other things, but they just bounce right off of me. As I then grab a moldy guy with metal skin and rip off his skull, as I then drink his blood, eating him. The Crusher Core is shocked as I kill them one by one, devouring them. As I fly up to the top as I sense another power level, it's Turles. Turles shakes in fear as he eats a fruit from the Tree of Might. I feel his power level skyrocket as he flies and punches me, and then begins to battle me with everything he got. But it just wasn't enough. I punched Turles so hard he fell down and hit the ground. Turles got up on his knees and began to beg for his life. "Please don't kill me. Together we can overthrow the universe. Together we can rule it. Together we can kill Frieza and King Cold." I was about to kill him, but then King Cold that's the name of my father. I remembered that. I couldn't talk, but I nodded and sat down. as I then ate a fruit from the tree of might, and I felt my power grew. Then I had an idea. If I teamed up from Turles, we can plant more of these tree things and eat more of these fruits, and then I can get revenge on my father. I then sat down, as Turles looked shocked that I spared him. But Turles nodded his head, says, "You're a Frieza race, right? What's your deal? Are you related to the Frieza family?" I simply nodded. I could understand him, but I couldn't talk myself. It was weird, since I never talked to anyone before. I don't know how I understand people. Maybe that's just built into my genetics. Turles and I would go to planet, planting tree after tree, and he would eventually teach me how to talk. I taught Turles how to hide his power level and sense power levels without scouters. We taught each other a few things, and we managed to get along. We planted a tree here and there. We didn't go crazy, and we didn't go into the Frieza planets, because then Frieza would get worried and discover us, and if Frieza discovered us, it would be game over. Frieza would hear reports of just planets with trees on them, but since they weren't owned by him, he kept it in mind, but it wasn't a severe threat. But it was a bit worrisome. Turles just kept me around so he could use me to overthrow Frieza. Then when I had my guard down, he would kill me. I was merely a tool, a pawn. But I didn't feel that way. I felt like Turles actually cared about me. I've never had someone take care of me before, and the fact that Turles taught me anything, it made me have a close bond with him. One day, however, we would go to a planet and there would be a statue of a giant Namekian. We cut to Lord Slug. He'd be sitting on his throne when suddenly he would hear the entire planet shook as a tree grew from within it. Then suddenly, part of the wall blew up as me and Turles walked in. Many of his soldiers charged at us, but I simply lifted a finger, killing all of them. When his kids come up, Turles said, "I'll deal with the kids. You handle the big green man himself." I nodded as I walked up to Lord Slug. Lord Slug says, "Who are you?" I said, I don't really have a name." I would then think about what should I call myself, but then I remember King Cold saying, "Why would I keep someone with zero value?" I would say, "Call me Zero." "Okay, Zero, I am Lord Slug, and you shall be killed. This is what happens when those who are stupid enough to stand in my way get to meet me face to face." As he charged right at me, I then began to battle Lord Slug, as we pushed each other more and more, but I was holding back, simply to have a good time. Lord Slug stretched out his arms and grabbed me and threw me around the palace, but then I got up and flew right at him, punching him, sending him downwards. As me and Lord Slug battled, Turles battled his kids. Slug's children had lots of weird techniques, and they continued to battle each other more and more and more. As Lord Slug says, "I've never seen your race before. Wait a second. Zero, you're not related to Frieza?" "Yes, but King Cold kicked me out, said I was too weak, but I found a way to get stronger. And I found a way to overthrow my brother. I can use your help, you know." Lord Slug would say, "Help you? I am Lord Slug. Why would I ever help you?" Meanwhile, Turles shows off his full power and kills all of his kids. Lord Slug begins to shake in fear as he senses the power. Then, I end up unleashing my full power. As Lord Slug falls to the ground, "That's impossible! This has to be a bluff or something lie. No one can be stronger than me. I am Lord Slug." Lord Slug would turn giant and begin to charge a ki blast through his mouth. Lord Slug, not knowing I could breathe in space, tried to blow up the planet. He couldn't breathe in space, but he figured this: if he can't have the planet, no one can, and he would kill us all. But I merely deflected the ki blast with one finger, then charged right at Lord Slug, punching him straight in the face, causing him to be knocked out. Lord Slug would then wake up. As he saw me and Turles, he got up to fight. As he was about to fight, I simply threw him over a fruit of the tree of might. "Eat this." Lord Slug looked at us, annoyed, but he ate it, and then he felt massive power course through his veins. Since he was Namekian, he didn't really need to eat, but he still could, and this power just filled through him. He said, "What is this?" "This is the tree of might. It destroys an entire planet and puts all of its energy into fruit. I only gave you one, so you wouldn't be too powerful, but if you join us, I can give you more. And you can get revenge on those Namekians. I assume you were kicked out, considering that you're evil, and Namekians usually are a peaceful bunch. Am I right?" Lord Slug says, "Yes, you are. Good. I can sense there's anger in your heart. I can sense that you want vengeance. Join us, Lord Slug." Lord Slug would agree to join, as Zero, Turles, and Lord Slug were now part of the new Crusher Corps. We all looked out, ready to defeat Frieza, but then we had an idea. As I asked, are the rumors about the Dragon Balls true? Lord Slug said yes they are, they grant any wish. I tried to get them, but Nail stopped me. But with the fruits from the Tree of Might, and you guys, we can do it. We can take over Namek, and get the Dragon Balls, and use the wish to defeat Frieza. Turles would say finally. I was gonna plant tree after tree after tree until we could defeat him that way, but this seems way more faster. And with Frieza's empire, we can mass produce these seeds and achieve a level we've never achieved before. We all laughed as we got ready to go to Namek to get the Dragon Balls. And that is going to leave this video off. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you think of the video, because I want to do one where what if I was in Dragon Ball personally. And should I change my name to Zero What If? I've been thinking about it. But yeah, what do you think? Should I change my name to Zero since Zero is the name of the character? Or should I just keep Nico? Or do you not care? And did you like the video? Please let me know in the comments. Please and thank you. Love you all.